Christmas at my parents' house had always been about appearances. Every year, the decorations got bigger, the gifts got more expensive, and my father made sure everyone knew exactly how much everything cost. That year was the most extravagant yet. Their living room looked like something out of a luxury magazine. A massive Christmas tree stood in the center, covered in gold ornaments and designer ribbons. Boxes from expensive brands were stacked underneath. Your one click can keep these stories alive. Subscribe, because every voice deserves to be heard. Don't miss out on the journey. Subscribe and let's grow, laugh, and learn together. My father loved it. Nothing but the best for my family, he announced proudly as relatives arrived. My older brother showed off his new sports car keys. My sister talked about the luxury condo she had just bought downtown. Everyone seemed to have something impressive to share. Except me. I arrived quietly with a small wrapped box in my hand. My father noticed it immediately. "That's it?" he asked, raising an eyebrow. "It's a gift," I replied calmly. He laughed. "Well, let's hope it's not from one of those discount stores you like." A few relatives chuckled awkwardly. I ignored the comment and placed the box under the tree. Dinner was loud and full of bragging. My father loved comparing everyone's success like it was a competition. "Your brother just closed a six-figure deal last month," he told the table proudly. My sister added, "And my condo already increased in value." Then my father looked directly at me. "And what about you?" he asked. I took a sip of water. "Work is going well." "That's vague," he said with a smirk. I didn't respond. He leaned back in his chair, shaking his head. "You always were the quiet one," he said. "Probably because you don't have much to brag about." A few people looked uncomfortable, but my father kept going. "You know," he added loudly, "not everyone in this family can keep up financially." My sister laughed. "Dad." But he waved his hand. "No, I'm serious. Some people just stay poor." Then he looked directly at me. "Right." The room went silent. For a moment, no one said anything. I simply smiled slightly. Before I could reply, my phone started ringing. I glanced at the screen. It was my bank. Normally, I wouldn't answer during dinner, but something about the timing made me pick it up. "Excuse me," I said, standing up. My father scoffed. Probably a bill collector. A few people laughed quietly. I stepped a few feet away and answered. "Hello." A very polite voice came through the phone. "Good evening, sir. This is Daniel from your private banking office." I frowned slightly. "Yes." "I apologize for calling during the holidays," he continued, "but we need your confirmation regarding the transfer of funds." "What transfer?" I asked. "The $2.4 billion acquisition payment," he said calmly. "Since you are listed as the primary account holder, we need your approval before midnight." For a second, I thought I heard him wrong. Then he added something that made my entire family look up from the table. "Our records list you as one of our billionaire clients, so the authorization must come directly from you." My father's laughter stopped instantly because I had accidentally left the phone on speaker. The room went completely silent. Even the Christmas music playing softly in the background suddenly felt too loud. My father stared at my phone, like it had just spoken a different language. "Billion?" my sister whispered. I quickly picked the phone up, turning off the speaker. "Yes, Daniel," I said calmly. "Go ahead with the transfer." "Very good, sir," he replied politely. "And congratulations again on the acquisition. If you need anything, your private banking team is available 24 hours. "Thank you," I said, ending the call. When I turned back toward the table, everyone was staring at me. My father blinked twice. "What was that?" he asked slowly. I walked back to my chair and sat down. "Just a work call." My brother leaned forward. "Did he say 2.4 billion?" I shrugged slightly. Something like that. My sister looked confused. Wait, I thought you worked at that small tech company. I did, I said. Did, my father repeated. I nodded. About 3 years ago, I started investing in a startup a friend and I built on the side. My father frowned, and last week a larger company bought it. The table went silent again. My brother stared at me. For how much? I took a small sip of water. About $2.4 billion. My mother's fork slipped from her hand and clattered against the plate. My sister's eyes widened. That's impossible. I shook my head slightly. It's finalized tomorrow. My father leaned back slowly in his chair, trying to process what he had just heard. For years he had introduced me as the quiet one who didn't make much money, the son who couldn't keep up with the rest of the family. Now, the same son had just casually mentioned $1 billion deal at the dinner table. My brother let out a low whistle. So, you're rich. I smiled faintly. I guess you could say that. No one laughed this time. My father cleared his throat. Well, he said awkwardly, why didn't you ever tell us about this? I looked around the table, at the expensive decorations, at the designer gift boxes, at the same people who had spent the last hour talking about how successful everyone else was. Then I gave the only honest answer, because no one ever asked. The room stayed quiet after that. For the first time that night, no one was bragging. No one was laughing. Everyone was just looking at me. My father cleared his throat again, trying to recover the confident tone he always used. Well, he said, forcing a small laugh, that's impressive. But the words sounded different now, less proud, more careful. My brother leaned forward. So you're saying you own part of that company they bought? Not part, I replied. I own most of it. My sister's eyes widened again. That means... Yeah, I said calmly. The payout was large. My mother shook her head slowly. I had no idea. I smiled slightly. That's because no one ever asked what I was working on. For years, family dinners had been the same. My father talked about money. My siblings talked about promotions and luxury purchases. And when it was my turn, the conversation usually ended quickly. Now the same people looked like they were trying to recalculate everything they thought they knew about me. My father folded his hands on the table. Well, he said carefully, families should support each other. You know that. I met his eyes. Yes, I said. That's true. For a moment, he looked relieved. Then I added calmly, but respect usually comes before support. The table went quiet again. My father didn't respond this time. Instead, he glanced toward the Christmas tree, where the gifts were waiting to be opened. After a long pause, he spoke again, his voice much quieter than before. So, what are you planning to do with all that money? I leaned back slightly in my chair. The answer was simple. Live comfortably, I said. Then I looked around the table once more and remember exactly how everyone treated me when they thought I was poor. No one spoke after that. My father stared at his plate, suddenly very quiet. When we opened gifts, mine was the smallest, but for the first time, it didn't matter, because the poor son, he laughed at all those years, had just become the richest person in the room.